continuing now with part 2 of practice 9-1. We have got some data mapping to take care of. Part of it has already been done for us. Actually, a lot of it's been done for us. We are going to do a little bit of it just to get a feel for how to use data mapper. So we are looking to go to the map to right file icon, click into the edit, and once we go there, we want to just look at the currently mapped fields. Let me show how that's done. So let's go into our editor. I see the sources, I see the target, and if I click on filter and just choose that map field for both sides and apply that, it immediately gives me a snapshot of the things that are already mapped. If I expand both sides all the way down, to the mapped element, there we go. I can see the fields that have been mapped. You can see it spreads across quite a number of different items and nodes in the environment. We see these static fields that have been populated, like all of these here, and the labels. In fact, what you'll see is these label nodes are literally just that. In SCM Cloud, they need this element for the appropriate labels that are used in these other ones. So the person name label, worker label, and so forth have all been populated for us to kind of save us some time. Lot of static work. There is a work relationship label with a lot of static mappings, as you can see here. There is the work terms label. There is the work terms mapping that are associated with various uh, uh, various elements of the work terms node. And you can see those mappings have actually already been done from some of the source data from the file that's been read along with some static text. So lots of data to be mapped. You might be thinking, well, with all those elements already mapped, what's there left to do? Well, we are going to show you right now. So uh, let's go back to our instructions. Let's do that. So we are looking the data that has been mapped on the target side. We did a little bit of inspecting, and what I had showed you is a static test. Is things that have the that little next to certain items, and then string functions. Function that, for example, concatenate functions will show the function itself mapped to the element along with one or more arguments that might have been provided from the source. Direct mapping are shown like this, where you see the XPath expression only mapped over to the value. So I encourage you to look for all three examples. Data fields as we see up here, static text function, such as string functions that use elements along with some static text, and then direct mapping, so you get a feel for how that is done in the mapper tool. So our first major task is to map all the worker repeating element fields. And before we do the actual mapping of the fields, we need to create for each loop, and the easiest way to do that in the data mapper is to, under sources, expand out to person, and under target, expand out to what we want to map the for each to, and that in this case that is worker. So basically we need to drag persons to worker, as we see down here in this element. From there, we can now click to reveal the XXLT construct. I'm going to demonstrate that for you now. First, however, go back to your filter, change everything from map to all, because we are concerned with all of our fields, because we are going to have some additional fields to map going down the road. And then what we do need to do is what we need to locate the person on the left, which is over here, and we need to locate the worker on the right, which is over here. So if I drag person to worker, and already lost it here. So you have got to be careful. If you click on a line, it takes you to down to that line. So let's go back up here again. Person and uh, worker. There we go. It lights it up, and I let it go. It populates that, and right now it just says you have mapped that. It doesn't really show me. Well, this is what they meant in these instructions. It says that this is a button. If you look at the instruction, it used to be labeled as advanced. It's now a button that's called XSLT. It's the same button. They just renamed it. And if I expand back out down to the first for each, you can see now the worker node is under the for each construct. And you can see the mapping from person to that for each construct, which then takes us to the worker. So for each person, we will populate the corresponding data within that worker node. Hopefully, that makes sense for everybody. So you can choose if you want to leave the for each on. I personally find it a little bit distracting when I am doing a lot of data mapping. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it off so I can just concentrate on the mapping I need to do. In this case, the mapping I need to do is certain elements under this construct over to these elements over here, and that's what the instructions are going to have us to do. So we have expanded the worker node in the target. We have expanded the worker and personal node in the source. And now the instructions are to map all 9 worker target fields that we see over here on the right. Some of them are from fields in the source. Some of them are static strings. And so what we are going to do is right click the static strings by creating a to create a target node. Notice right here now how that's done. So I click on the first one, this effective in date that we need to do. So this effective in date, I click on create target node, and then down here is where I can type the value. Now, in order to do that, the easiest way to handle that is to simply click on the set text. We can either set text before or we can set text after. Either way, the key here for the mapping is that we want to provide that value. In this case, the 471 to the 31. So I'm going to type that in the now 4712 dash 1 2 dash 3 1 31. Notice I don't have to do the strings. If I click on the set text, then click on save. What that does is set it as a string, and we are done. Now, another way to have done that, let me delete this mapping by right clicking and delete the target node. I'll start over again. So effective end date, I click on that right. I'm sorry. Right click on that. It's create target node. I'll do it one more time. This time I'll set the set text first and then type in the value 4712 forward slash 12 slash 31. And now I just simply click save. So whether you do it before or after doesn't matter as long as it gets set to test mode. Notice it uh, text instead of expression over here on the left before I click on save. So that's what we are trying to describe in instructions. We type the value, then set text or set text, then value. Make sure you do it is in the test set text before you save. We see the mapping. So down below here is the chart for what we need to between source and target. I just did the second one here because it was a set as a text example. I'm going to go ahead and do the other ones in order. Some are direct mapping from the source, some are setting the text. So I'll demonstrate doing that now. The first one is the hire date. Let's get to that one. So expand personal and work. and hire date. There we go. This is my hire date. This is my hire date. I just drag it over here to there. That's it. That's what's done. The next one is effective end end date. I already did that one.